this drives me crazy these days, like hustle and grind and scale and 10x and like I get it, but what if you don't want to do that? What if that's not part of your formula? What if, like you and I discussed, what if you want a nice little boutique business and you want to serve your dream clients and have a lifestyle that you're madly in love with, and maybe that doesn't involve 10xing and scaling and growing at all cost, right? So, but
Yeah.
not that there's anything wrong with that. But again, I just encourage everyone to say, okay, but what do I really want? And
Yeah.
so yeah, the story that I had told you, and this was for the year before last actually, but I had 10 big things on my list that I wanted to accomplish. And they were things like, my book launch. They were things like they were big things, big tasks, and lifestyle ones as well. I accomplished 9 out of 10 on that list. And all I could do, and I think this is very human, but it took me a little bit to catch myself. All I could focus on is that one thing that I had not accomplished. And it was a goal that I had for my business, but and literally for probably 1 month, I just fretted about that every day, every night. I'd lay awake and well, I got to do this, I got to do this, and then it just dawned on me one day, whoa, wait a minute, dude, you've accomplished some pretty significant things. And yes,
Mm,
would you like to accomplish that 10th one? Absolutely, and I will, but maybe just not on the timeline that I originally thought. And it was
mm,
just so it was so cool for me. It was an epiphany to like, you often hear we have to stop and celebrate. And I think for most humans, we're not good at that, right? We
mm.
we just we plod on and look at the things we haven't done yet, and we do not stop and celebrate what we've already accomplished. And I think for everyone, no matter where you are at on your own personal journey, there's things that have been accomplished. The fact that you're here is a pretty significant accomplishment, right? And I'm not being flippant about that. It's like it's the truth that the fact that you are here and alive and in this world, and are you confused and have challenges and not sure about what's next and focused on maybe some of the things you haven't accomplished? Yes, I'm sure you do. And I do it all the time. But again, it was just really powerful to stop myself and say, okay, just stop. And, the other thing that it reminded me of, and sometimes these terms or concepts are thrown around, they're overused and maybe people don't understand them in depth. But to me, it's about gratitude as well.
Mm,
And
yeah.
gratitude not as a platitude, like not just to for the sake of it, but like truly feeling grateful is like, I've done some stuff, I've learned some stuff, I've accomplished some stuff, and I'm
Yeah.
still here to tell about it. I'm pretty grateful for that.
Yeah. Gosh. So I guess the first step is recognizing it then, because if we don't even know that we're doing that, then how can
Yeah.
we reframe anything? How can we recognize the progress that we have made? And I guess, also the opposite is true because you were so specific with what the goals were and what the timeline was. It was very
Mhm.
easy to look at that discrepancy and say like, oh, look, there's a gap. I didn't do that. And
Mhm.
so I know for myself, I avoided setting goals
Yeah.
for a long time because I always felt like a failure if I didn't meet them. And I just stopped doing it because I thought, well, I don't have a way to not feel bad about myself. And if I don't have the goal, then I can't feel bad about myself. But it
Mhm.
wasn't necessarily the best approach, but it did get me thinking about timelines and goals specifically
Goals.
because
Yeah.
I've changed my language around that to more intention and direction so that I can sort of see that path that I'm going down, but it's more like a journey that I'm on rather than like an outcome that I want to achieve or a place I
Right.
want to get to. That has helped me so much. And then also managing my tasks around that same mentality because I couldn't for the longest time find a way to keep the focus on my intentions without feeling like I just had a to-do list that I was never
Mhm.
getting things done on. So what does that look like for you? Have you changed your way of managing yourself, like your expectations of yourself at all, or is it more of like on the back end you try to rectify the discrepancy?
The first thing that comes to mind is I've developed a great degree of self-compassion towards myself
Mm.
because I used to be so hard on myself. And just thinking about even the language I would use when speaking to myself. And again, a lot of my coaching clients, I hear this, and we often speak to ourselves in a way we would not dream of speaking to another human being, right? So, like, I'm so
Yeah.
stupid. Why did I not accomplish that goal? And it's like, ooh,
Yeah.
easy, easy, big fella.
Yeah.
So I think that is a big part of it, is like having some compassion, no matter where you're at or what you've accomplished, or just knowing that it's a work in progress. And so that's one thing. And then I don't know if I struggle with this, but I am trying to reconcile this in a meaningful way, because I'm with you, like setting intentions. I love that. And I do, you've heard probably about SMART goals, right? Having them like time bound, and I am a believer in that, because I think, what we measure was what we do and it's what we
Mm.
focus on. And so, but in my coaching business, we talk a lot about soul plus strategy. And what I mean by that is, like, the soul part of it is like more, what does my heart want? What does my soul want? Like, more going inside and reflecting upon, what are the little whispers inside of me asking me to do or say?
Mm.
And that's kind of the soul component. And I think if you have nothing but that, like if you have, law of attraction, and people talk about this, like if you sit in a room in the dark and you visualize, and which I am a massive fan of, by the way,
Mm. Yeah,
and
me too.
I would call that the soul component. But if that's all you do, meaning if you don't take aligned action now towards the things that you desire, in my experience, you just don't get those results. So there's the
Mm.
soul component and then the strategy component. And to me, the strategy component is more about what structure do you put in place to actually take aligned action towards your intentions or your goals.
Yeah.
Right? So
Yeah.
meaning, here's an example. Here's one example. Even in your calendar, like, do you block off? Like, I'll give you a very specific example. For me, I've said that my health and fitness is the number one priority. So if you look in my calendar for the day, the very first thing is my gym time or
Yeah.
my hiking time. So I literally got up this morning, rolled out of bed, went for my hike. I'm like, okay, that's just non-negotiable. So I'm going to structure myself to accomplish that intention of putting my fitness first.
Yeah.
Right. So I just think it's a blend of this. And the other thing, we've we're launching a program called 100 Days to Peak Performance. And in this program, it's a 14-week program working towards a goal or your intention or the mountain you want to climb, whatever you call it. And one of the things that I think is key is aligning your emotions, or how you feel about things, and how you think about things, because that
Mm.
will dictate the things that you actually do. Right?
Yes.
And so here's an example. If back to the 1 out of 10 things that I didn't accomplish, just
Mm.
even being really mindful of my language, I could say, I haven't done that, or I'm so stupid. No, I don't say that any longer. Nothing like that, thankfully. But
Yeah.
I could focus on saying, I have not done that, right? Like, just hard and fast.
Mm.
And I've
Yeah.
shifted the way I speak to myself and say, you know what? I'm in the process of completing that one.
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
it's a small distinction, but I think it's again, it's being kind to yourself. It's like, yeah, I haven't completed it, but I'm still figuring it out. I am working on it. Like, I haven't abandoned it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. The self-talk is everything because it's not usually our voice. It's usually some other, like our parents' voice or someone who was very critical on us when we were growing up. And we
Yes.
continue to hear that voice, and we've sort of made it synonymous with our own. But like you
Hmm.
said, when you really go inside and you reflect, it's not what you actually think, it's what someone else's opinion is of you or was at the time that you've continued on. And so I love the idea of aligning your thoughts and your emotions, because otherwise we're just in this push-pull with ourselves
Right.
and we can't go anywhere because we're paralyzed because we
Yeah.
don't know which one to listen to. But we have all these different parts of ourselves with different priorities. And so when you talk about prioritization, I think it's an interesting one too, because on any given day, we could change our priorities. We could
Yes.
say,
Yep.
oh, this is my productive day, or this is my relaxing day, or this is my getting stuff done around the house day. But that doesn't mean we can't have like one overarching priority that ought to be
Mhm.
structured, like you said. So I think we've got to have the flexibility.
Yes.
Otherwise, how can we be compassionate towards ourselves if it's too strict? But at the same time, we do need that focus, we do need that structure, we do need that accountability, support, direction. And I think it is one of the most challenging things of being an entrepreneur because no one tells you what's right and what's wrong. Or the people who do, like you said, they're the 10x growth people, and
Yeah.
you don't relate to what they're saying. And so then you kind of feel lost of like, okay, how do I navigate myself? And it's learning how to navigate yourself that is the most fulfilling part of entrepreneurship, I think,
Yep.
in the end.
Yes.
And having a mission that gets you out of bed every morning and makes you want to do the difficult things or challenge all these parts of yourself. Because it's not just you who's being affected by it, it's the people
Mhm.
around you.
Mhm.
So I don't know if you have this too, but I have this sense of responsibility for people who observe the way I speak about myself, the way I live
Yep.
my
Yes.
life, the way
Yes.
that I treat myself, the way I set my priorities, or how much structure or how much flexibility there is, or how many goals I have at any given time. I feel this sense of responsibility that it's not just me who is experiencing these things, it's also everybody who's watching me, everybody who I'm
Mhm.
influencing. And that helps me so much. It really does. And it's hard to admit that I don't want to do it just for myself. But if I'm
Right.
really honest with myself, no, I feel like when everybody's involved, that makes me want to make the extra effort.
Cool. Well, hey, if that's the thing that helps keep you accountable, then
Yes.
then amazing.
Yeah, I think coming back to the self-compassion idea
Yep.
and how everything's a work in progress,
Hmm.
that has really shaped the way that I operate on the
Hmm.
daily basis because yeah, if we treat ourselves like a robot or a worker bee or just
Yep.
somebody who doesn't feel anything, doesn't need anything, doesn't get affected by anything, ultimately it's going to blow up in your face at some point because it's totally unsustainable.
Hmm.
Um, have you I don't know about you, but I've noticed a direct correlation between when I have more self-compassion and the growth of my business, like
Hmm.
the things that I'm accomplishing. And it feels very counterintuitive, but
Yeah.
the more I focus on meeting my needs and making sure I'm okay, the more my business tends to move. Have you noticed that?
I completely noticed that. And it's so amazing to me. I actually had this conversation with someone yesterday saying being on this journey of being an entrepreneur, growing your own business, I think is the greatest personal growth exercise I have ever undertaken.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And it's saying it in a different way, but something I always say is personal growth is actually equal to business growth.
Yeah.
Meaning the more that I grow as an individual, the more my business flourishes. And you're right, that includes self-compassion and inquiry and the deeper work, right? Like
Yeah.
it's crazy. But the more healed I become, the more aligned I become, the more my frequency, is aligned to what's important to me personally, then I think I should just show up in a way that is more impactful for others. And as a result, my business grows, right?
Yeah.
It's not exactly why I do it. I mean, I just want to be a happier individual, but
Right. But the correlation is very evident.
it's evident and direct for sure.